Hey, welcome to Remove Logic, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm so glad that you decided to join me again tonight on Remove Logic Radio Show. Come on in. Happy Thursday to everybody. I hope that you are having a good week, a blessed week, and just want to get ready to engage tonight. For those of you who are first timers, I am your host, Karen Ray Lacey, and this is Remove Logic Radio Show. Why Remove Logic? Because we believe at Remove Logic that God is not bound by logic or logistics. And so we invariably ask questions, why or why not you? Um, we are dedicated to helping you pivot, empowering you to pivot in life and career through faith-based programs, discussions, inspiring real stories, and actionable and practical advice and items, anything that you can do to help you to move forward, to get unstuck. And that is what we do. We help you to get unstuck. And always, again, with the belief that God is not bound by logic or logistics. We're here every Thursday night. We air at 7 p.m. on Fishbowl Radio Network. We're streaming live from Fishbowl. And if you want to catch us on a rebroadcast, you can look up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Or you can also catch us on our Facebook page, Remove Logic. So once again, thank you so much for joining me on tonight. And I'm so excited about tonight's topic. I guess when you know how things hit you and you don't know, I don't know usually what I'm going to cover unless I have a guest on. But when it's just me, it's pretty much inspired either in a conversation or something that I've read, or even just relevant things that are going on in our right now. And so sometimes the things that are going on in the nation, politically, or current events, you'll find me talking about those. So tonight, as you see over my shoulder here, you'll understand that picture once I release tonight's topic, which is truth. We're going to be talking about the word truth and how truth is playing out in our world and in our nation. And scripturally, I was reading, and in Galatians 4:6 reads, "Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Am I therefore your enemy because I tell you the truth?" And tonight's topic is the truth hurts. Why speaking honestly isn't always popular. And, as far as Remove Logic is concerned, I am of the belief that sometimes the logic and the things that we play into may cause you to bend the truth, or maybe the truth of your own reality or the reality that you sit in. And as I look at the word truth and just thinking about it in this context, truth has been attacked and distorted so much now that we reject it. Lies have become so good and so loud that the lies are they're killing us slowly, killing your sensitivity, killing your creativity, killing your sense of truth and what is right and what is wrong, killing institutions that have long stood as protection and provision, killing our morals, killing beliefs, and questioning laws that were founded to keep equality equal. So tonight, as we dive into this truth and what truth looks like in our current society, just, indulge me if you will. Whether you agree or disagree, that is fine. Would love your comments on the show and how you feel about this episode, because truth, it's just, it stands on its own. Truth does not bend, it does not break, it simply is what it is. The truth does not bow down to a lie. It stands, if it has to stand in a corner, it's still the truth. If it has to stand in the middle of the floor, it's still the truth. If it has to stand in the main square all on its own, it's still the truth. The truth simply stands on its own. It does not bend and it does not break. And we have become so comfortable in ignorance, digesting and reproducing what we are fed without a thought. And oftentimes when truth is tested and attacked, it is to cause you to not think. Again, removing logic, some of the logic that is fed to us, some of the things that are given to us to become logical, where we don't question that thought process. One of the things in this nation, and I dare say it, is the white being right is one of the biggest distortions of this nation and the day, where black, brown, or any other hue is marginalized as inferior, subhuman, or should be feared as taking something away from the privileged few. Now, here on Remove Logic, I am certainly not afraid to speak my truth. And I want to encourage you in whatever place that you are in your life, that you be encouraged to not be afraid to speak your truth. And just because a white man says it does not mean that it is okay, which is, I'm going to say, the history of this nation, that white is right. And it doesn't matter what white does, how white treats black, how white treats brown, how white treats any other race, it is deemed as acceptable. And I am pushing back tonight on Remove Logic. I'm pushing back. And I just ask you to take the journey with me for this next 45 minutes as we discuss truth. And let's be real. Telling the truth isn't always easy. And I realize that. This is a hard topic for me. There are some topics that are hard for me to discuss, because it puts you outside of your comfort zone, and then speaking against things that are hard to talk about, because I always say some conversations are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. And I believe that tonight, this topic, truth, is a necessary topic, especially in this hour, in this nation, and in the world. Sometimes speaking honestly can cost us relationships. It can cost us opportunities or even our reputation. And going back to the scripture in Galatians 4:16, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And I truly believe that is where we find ourselves in the nation and in the world, that pushing back with truth has become less acceptable than the loudness of a lie and the distortion of the truth. And Paul's words in Galatians reminds us that truth-telling can create tension, especially when it goes against what others want to hear. Telling the truth is tough. And right now, it feels even riskier in today's society, in the political environment where polarization is high, misinformation spreads fast, and every opinion seems to put you in a camp or with a group. Speaking honestly can cost you friendships, family peace, or even your job. And I want to engage in this conversation and start a conversation even off of this platform where we begin to look for truth, and that we begin to demand truth and not just accept what is fed and what is distorted as truth and what is hidden from us. Have you ever lost a friend or faced backlash simply for speaking the truth? Maybe you had to call out a problem at work, confront a loved one, or share an uncomfortable truth with your community or with the community that you care about. If so, tonight I want to say to you, you are not alone. If you are desiring to raise your voice in an expectation of truth, you're not alone. You're in good company with Paul, Apostle Paul. And just the fact that that scripture captures where we are today, and the fact that telling the truth can make you an enemy. Have you found yourself biting your tongue about politics or social issues in this day, or even faith, just to keep peace? Maybe you've posted something true to your values online and faced backlash or lost followers. In this climate, Paul's words hit home. Sometimes telling the truth makes you, quote unquote, the enemy. Not because you want conflict, but because our culture isn't always ready for honest conversations. And I hope, again, that this episode of Remove Logic stirs you to a place of an honest conversation. See how truth is handled. Is it mishandled in various spaces? And just take the time to look at truth and where is it in your life? Where is it in your social circle? Where is truth in your community? Where is it in your city? Where is it in your family? Where is truth, and how is truth standing in and around you? Is it being handled or mishandled? And both of those, have a different connotation, because somebody handling you can also make you curve the truth where your truth is not spoken. And then mishandling truth, of course, we know that is the distortion, the delusion, or even the deception in truth, of truth. Identify your core values. One of the things that truth does make you do, it does make you stop and identify, what are your core values? Where is my integrity? What is my level of a faith and expectation when it comes to the truth? And then my service, how am I operating in truth? When considering a pivot, and on here, as I said, Remove Logic is about, helping you in pivots, whatever that pivot is that you're finding yourself in: life, career, health, family, finances, whatever it is. When considering a pivot, use these as your truth filter to guide decisions, especially when outside pressure is loud. And we are living in a time when the outside pressure is louder and overspeaks sometimes our consciousness, pushing back, pushing down expectation pushing down morals, pushing down values, pushing down laws. These lies and deception are so loud that the things that we expect, the things that we are rightfully due, even as a human in humanity, the loudness of the distortion drowns out your expectation. And tonight, I want to encourage you to have courage to have conversations. Reach out to a mentor if you're challenged in truth and your expectation, or you be a mentor if that is your role and you can see yourself as a mentor to encourage people to speak their truths. Practice articulating your truth. The truth about your why, the truth about your new direction, the truth about what your needs are. Practice articulating your truth. And then auditing your environment. Like look around, like I said, and see how truth is handled in your circle, or how it's mishandled in your workplace, friends, groups, online spaces. Do you feel silenced in certain groups where you're not able to speak your truth? Are you unsupported in your desire? And that's a huge thing, to be in a space where you're either unsupported or silenced. And where we sit currently in the nation, there are so many, the vulnerable among us are being silenced. The poor, the needy, the elderly, with all the shifting in the nation as far as services, laws. There's a silencing of the voice of expectation, the voice of righteousness, and the voice where your desires and your needs are being pushed to the side. And so the lack of consideration, and consider what boundaries or changes are needed to create a space for you to be authentic in your voice and what your next steps are, what your expectations are. That's either government, city, state, family, church, wherever you find yourself, that you have an expectation and that need is not being met, or the spirit of truth is not free to move. You feel like your voice is being silenced. Why truth matters. It's not about being popular, because we know, as Paul raised the question, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Telling the truth can put you in an unpopular place, and it's not about being popular. The truth, again, it simply is what it is, and it simply stands on its own. And it's not always about being right. It may be the truth for justice. And again, the truth is what it is. It does not need any help. The truth stands and it makes its own declaration. Paul's concern wasn't about being popular, because he was well aware to raise the question, have I therefore now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? It was simply about being faithful, being faithful. He knew that real love sometimes means having those hard conversations and saying the hard things. And we've got to be okay with saying sometimes the hard thing. Iyanla Vanzant says, call a thing, people. And when you look at something, you don't have to say that it's blue when you know that it's red. And I'm not saying that as far as politics, but I'm saying that to clearly call it what it is without being afraid to say that. It is the truth. In our lives, pivoting, whether in career, health, as I said, relationship, it often starts with some uncomfortable truth. Anytime that you're in a pivot, sometimes the reality of the truth of that need is uncomfortable. We have to be aware of and immediately identify the need for change. With words like fake news, alternative facts, making headlines, it's easy to lose sight of what's real. With words like fake news, alternative facts, these things are making headlines today. And this is making it easy to lose sight of what is real. But as people of faith, we're called to walk in truth, even if it is unpopular or inconvenient. And that's what Paul was speaking in this passage of scripture. He wasn't concerned about being popular. We know that we are now living in a cancel culture, where if you speak the truth, you run the risk of being canceled, and in whatever arena that is. But truth is truth. Truth is unpopular, and truth can be inconvenient. God calls us to walk in truth even when it is unpopular. One of the life applications, something that you can apply, is the growth in knowing that honesty requires truth. Honesty requires truth with ourselves and with others. When we're growing, honesty is part of that process. Integrity is part of that process. Faith, perspective. God's truth does not shift with the news cycles of today. It stays the same. Once again, it can stand in the corner, but it's still the truth. It can stand in the living room in the middle of the floor. It's still the truth. It can stand downtown in the main square, but it's still the truth. And so it does not shift with our news cycles. It does not shift with political winds. It does not shift when emotions are stirred or disturbed for whatever reason. It does not shift. It simply stands on its own. And as we begin to grow, even as a child, I remember, my mom would say, don't you tell a lie, and the expectation is that you're going to be honest. You're going to be honest. I remember back in the day, on TV and sitcoms when I was a child, they would say, if you lie, I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap. And today it would be a whole lot of mouth washing with soap in today's climate, because again, lies have become so loud. They're louder than the truth, and even heard and believed faster than the truth. The truth seems to be questioned and attacked more in this climate than I've seen in my lifetime. Think about an area in your life where you've been avoiding the truth. Again, I want to spark a conversation on truth with this episode, whether it's in the house, whether it's at work, again, your community, the city, whatever it is. Truth breeds your expectation of integrity. It breeds the level of faith, the level of what you desire in a response. Giving an honest answer, it seems to solidly be what an honest answer should be. It leaves no question. It leaves no question. But just think about an area in your life where you may be avoiding the truth. What would it look like if you faced it head on, even if it's uncomfortable? I always say the people that love you ought to tell you. If you're going out and you're looking crazy, somebody that love you need to tell you that's not going to work. You need to go back and change. And that's a truthful answer. I'm making light of it, but the necessity of truth can help somebody out. It doesn't have to be always pushed to the side and just believe what is fed to us on a daily basis. Fact checking, it's okay. Before making a decision, fact check. Fact check what you're wanting the outcome to be. Is this acceptable? Is this the truth that I'm willing to stand on in making this decision? Make it a habit to be a truth bearer in your circles. Make it a habit to be the truth bearer. And you know, that's a hard thing. Because when you're that one that's always speaking the truth, not stating the obvious, but speaking the truth, those are two different things. But the truth bearer might be the one that others might depend on. And if you make it a habit to be the truth bearer, when distortion comes, when deception comes, when the lie raises its head, then, you know, there's that person that, you know, as I said, may be in the corner, but say, you know what, that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie. And be okay with calling a lie, because lies have become so loud in the nation and so loud in the world that we receive the lie because it's louder than the truth. And it's time for us to move from a place where we're silent and begin to speak. I think honestly that, you know, those that are spreading the lie and being so loud, they count on our silence. They count on us being tired and worn out. But this is certainly not a time when we need to not stand for truth and what is right and what is just. Other things that you can do as far as being a truth bearer, speak up with grace. Share your perspective in a respectful way, faith-centered way, whether in person, online, or even in small group settings. Again, it's still the truth, but it's how you say it sometimes can be just as impactful. As Paul raised the question, am I now your enemy because I told you the truth? What do you do when truth makes you the enemy? What do you do when truth makes you the enemy? Let's talk about the cost of telling the truth, because it comes sometimes at a great cost. Again, it can cause you to lose relationships. It can cause you to lose opportunities, cause you to lose friendships, and it comes at a cost. Sometimes when you speak up, people will push back. What do you do when telling the truth causes you to now be the enemy? We are living in cancel culture, and it takes courage now to speak up, because you are subject to lose platforms. You're subject to lose things that you have built social media wise, where you're canceled and all of a sudden people are pulling away. But whenever you tell the truth, you have to be prepared for pushback. They might misunderstand your motives. They'll question your loyalty, or even label you, as Paul said, as the enemy. And Paul experienced this, and so will we. So will we, because not everybody is ready for the truth. Not everybody wants to hear the truth. Not everybody believes the truth. And in today's America, truth telling can get you canceled. It can get you canceled. It can get you publicly shamed, ostracized, or misunderstood. Whether it's politics, race, faith, social justices, or society often reacts harshly against uncomfortable truths. And again, speaking the truth can be uncomfortable, but it takes a person of courage to stand in truth. It takes a person sometimes where you have decidedly and deliberately and intentionally, made a choice that I'm just going to stand for the truth, or I'm just going to tell the truth. And it moves you from one space of comfort to a space of uncomfortability. Standing for what's right, biblically and ethically, may cost you, but it is often the first step toward real change in any situation. If sweeping things under the rug and overlooking, it leaves the situation unchanged. But speaking truth, maybe it was a tough conversation, but it was a necessary, as I said, conversation. Sharing sometimes a biblical perspective on a hot button issue can possibly persuade someone to think differently. Standing up for the marginalized, and as we're in this current climate, you see people standing against ICE and the treatment of immigrants and those that are marginalized, and they're standing for truth, the truth that they deserve a fair and just trial, where someone would make legally determine that they are illegal, rather than just looking at skin color, or just believing the hype that a certain group of people are a threat to our society. That's not the truth, because you haven't delved into reasons why, or even the accusations are not what someone says that they are, and we simply just take it because it is fed to us. But here's the thing: speaking the truth in love is an act of courage. Speaking the truth in love is an act of courage. It takes self-control to be able to stand in courage, to be able to face what we know is not right. It does take some self-control to do that. But to be faithful, as we know, is to stand on the side of truth. But again, knowing that when I speak the truth, raising the question, am I now your enemy? You have to be prepared emotionally for pushback. Pray for courage. Pray for wisdom to respond with love and not defensiveness, which, again, I know in this climate, that's hard, because there are so many injustices and wrongs that we are seeing that it's hard to not become defensive. But speaking with wisdom and being able to, again, articulate your truth. If it's something that you want to say and you don't know how to say it, rehearse it. Again, study, look, fact check, make sure that what you're standing on is the truth. But expect pushback, because not everybody is ready for the truth. Not everybody believes as you believe, and we know that. But again, speaking the truth is the truth, and it's nothing else. Expect that not everyone will understand you or support you for whatever it is, especially if it challenges the status quo. Write out maybe some affirmations to build the courage that you need to speak your truth. And one of the things I want to say is what we should do in this climate is support truth tellers. They should be supported. They should not be ostracized or stepped away from, but we should support a truth teller. If you have a truth teller in your circle, support them, because it takes courage to speak out against wrongdoing, to speak out against a lie, either publicly or privately. You should encourage someone who is taking a stand for truth. Even if you don't agree with every detail, let them know that you see their courage and their courage is valued. That's important. When I think about Martin Luther King, and even Rosa Parks. It took courage for them to stand for right and to speak against lies. So whenever you have a truth teller in your midst, encourage them and support them. I hope that this conversation is stirring something in you tonight, that you would consider speaking your truth, not allowing yourself to be silenced with all the noise of a lie. Don't allow yourself to lose sight of who you are, lose sight of your expectation, to lose sight of your rights for truth. Next, truth with grace. And grace is extending to others what you would want back. You know, sometimes, again, with the lies being so loud, it creates a disconnect. It creates separatism. It creates otherisms. And so if you are standing in truth, look for your truth to build bridges and not walls. Look for your truth to be a way of overcoming for someone else. Look for the truth that you're standing on to be something that is going to be help and not tear down. The end result should be that this truth will serve well somebody else. If I'm standing on this truth or speaking the truth, it may be a hard truth, but it is a truth that may be built upon or create a change for something better. The challenge isn't just to speak truth, but to do it with grace, to do it with an expectation that somebody will be better or made better from this truth that I'm telling. You don't want to be harsh and critical or judgmental either, but at least be able to speak the truth where it will make a difference and make an impact for a change or something better. Not just the loudness of a lie and the noise of a lie or the negativity of a lie. You want truth to be something that can be built upon, to build a bridge. As believers, you know, the model of both conviction and compassion. You know, the gospel breeds conviction. It will bring conviction, but then it also brings compassion. And as change comes, sometimes that conviction is necessary to bring about change. Truth without love divides. And we are seeing that even in our society, that truth without love divides. It separates. Yes, this might be your truth, but it is a truth that further divides the nation. It's a truth that further separates us from, I believe, humanity and empathy. And love without truth deceives. Truth without love divides, and love without truth deceives. People are easily deceived when there is a motive behind this truth that we're seeing in the nation. Jesus spoke truth to power, but always with an eye towards reconciliation and redemption. He spoke truth to power, but always with an eye or an expectation of reconciliation and redemption. And this is where, as we look at truth in this hour, is it building? Is it tearing down? Is it a bridge or is it a wall? Am I building a bridge or am I burning a bridge? Am I building a bridge or am I burning a bridge with this truth? Building a bridge is challenging because there's something in you that has to be where you're thinking about the other person, not just yourself. It brings unity in the community and the nation. I believe that we probably should spend some time asking God to help us on how to speak the truth and to build a bridge and bring balance in truth and grace. It's easy to just blurt it out, but without the consideration of the impact of it. On social media, we see this all the time, where a post comes out and it comes out for impact more than it does empathy. It's more, let me shock them, or let me put this out here, and it's more for the impact than it is for empathy. And modeling how to disagree respectfully, modeling how to share your truth with grace, modeling how to maybe understand someone else's point of view without charging in to tear somebody down. That's important, because again, telling the truth can make you somebody's enemy. And we have got to be mindful of that in this season. One of the things that you can do is clarify your why. Why do I think like this? Why do I feel like this? Why do I consider this my truth? For wherever you are, whatever your situation is, again, and we're talking about pivoting, whatever direction that you're needing to go to, if you're faced with lies and distortion in that direction, how do you speak truth to power? Do you avoid it and not move at all? Or do you face it head on? But how do you face it head on? Do you face it defensively, or do you face it with grace and look for a better outcome where you're benefited and that person is too? Calling circumstances and pushing back for change, you have to first be the change that you want to push back towards. Sometimes situations come to bring change in us. So identifying this truth and how am I going to face the truth? Research with integrity. If you are looking to make some big moves, small moves, whatever kind of move that you're going to make, you don't want to do it based upon a lie. You want to do it based upon the truth, because it would last longer. You're not having to chase down, okay, well, I said this to get this, and I had to tell this to do that. Do it with truth and integrity, whatever it is. If you're seeking out something, you want to seek out real stories, you want real data, you want faith-based wisdom to inform you of your next steps. And that is in truth telling, or even as you move forward and expecting some type of change, if there's a give and take. You want to communicate honestly in truth, whether if it's work related, personal related, church related, community related, where you're not making deals with the devil just to get something, where I'm going to go in and tell this lie, but once I get in there, then I'll speak my truth. No, speak your truth when you show up. Be authentically you and who you are, without the ways of buying into the distortion or buying into the lie. You want to communicate honestly. So again, tonight, I hope that this conversation tonight stirs you to look at truth from another perspective. How am I handling truth? How is my circle handling truth? How is my community handling truth? Is it mishandled? Is it misguided? Is it misunderstood? But look at truth head on as we go forward. And that's my challenge for you this week. Look at truth and see how it's handled in your circle. How is it handled amongst your friends, family, or even you yourself? Sometimes introspect is better. Where if I want to challenge someone else, I need to look at myself, go inward and see, how do you handle truth? Do you avoid hard conversations, or do you face them head on? Do you face them head on as defensive, or do you do it with grace? Again, truth. Is my speaking my truth now making you or me your enemy? Is me telling the truth now making me the enemy? Again, I just want to put this up on the screen. The truth hurts, and why speaking honestly isn't always popular. We are coming from Galatians 4:16. Have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth? And this nation is divided by beliefs that this is my truth, and because you're saying this or I'm saying this, you are now my enemy. Because you're saying this, I am now your enemy. And we've got to look at truth for what it is. Again, it stands on its own. It is what it is. It does not bend and it does not break. It does not need a cosigner, so to speak. The truth is the truth. So tonight, I challenge you for the upcoming week. Look at truth head on and look and see if there are places where the truth around you is bending, if it's broken, if it is mishandled. Have you faced backlash in telling the truth lately? And if so, how did you handle it and what did you learn? How did you handle it and what did you learn? Some of the things that we can do this week or even ongoing and moving forward in this nation is pray for unity. Decide a time each day and just pray for unity in our community, in our nation, and ask God for help. If the truth around you seems to be mishandled and you have silenced your voice because the lies are so loud, seek God on wording your mouth with wisdom. How do I pray? How do I say what I feel? What is the truth as I see it? I truly believe that we are in a time when there is an awakening to truth, where the spirit of truth is rising rather than the lies that have surfaced and have populated our nation and populated the world. So I want to encourage you, take a look at this scripture again, Galatians 4:16. Have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth? And look around again and identify how truth is handled around you. Like and comment, if you have a comment or just something you want to discuss, I am not afraid of hard conversations. If comment, you can reach out to me. My email is Karen@removelogic.com if it's something that you want to talk about, or even voice your opinion on this topic or any other topics that we have discussed. Again, Remove Logic is here to raise the questions of why and why not, removing the logic that sometimes binds us. And tonight we want to remove the lies. We want to push back on lies as truth has been attacked so much in this hour that it is now rejected. But I want to encourage you to reject the lies. I want to encourage you to raise the question, stand on your truth, to be able to articulate your truth. If it is something that you're not used to, rehearse it over and over in your head before you say it, so that it will be understood and not misunderstood. But we want to raise the spirit of truth in this nation, where it has been pushed down and silenced almost, where with the possibility of becoming an enemy, the possibility of cancel culture canceling you, the possibility of relationships being broken, the possibility of friendships being lost, jobs lost. But don't allow yourself nor your truth to become silent. Speak up and use your voice. I know that it feels vulnerable in this hour. I know that authenticity kind of feels like an abstract thing where, you cannot be your authentic self. But the necessity of that, I believe, is crying out in this atmosphere where you can be authentically you. That this authentic person, your authentic truth, will attract the right opportunities. You'll meet the right person. It will put you in rooms that you never thought you would be in, to be able to not walk around in silence or in defeat, opening up yourself to a space where you are heard and where you are seen and not put away because it does not go with the voice of today. Raise your voice. Again, I'm Karen Ray Lacey, and this is Remove Logic Radio Show. Why remove logic? Because I believe that God is not bound by logic or logistics. That means that all things are possible if you just believe. Take the limits off and take the band-aid off of your mouth and be able to speak your truth. I will see you again next week, this same time. Until the next time, keep moving forward. No matter what logic or even the headlines are saying to you today, you keep moving forward and stand in your truth. And I will see you next Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here on Remove Logic Radio Show, streaming live on Fishbowl Radio Network. I'll see you next week.